Hey friends, welcome back to the podcast. I am excited to be here with you today. We are going to be talking about meal planning and really just kind of getting back into solid routines after a really crazy season. That's what we're going to chat about. Before we do, I wanted to give one really fun, super fun announcement. If you are a member of Joyful Home app and you have not logged in this week, you need to go check it out because I have spent the better part of about a month and a half redoing this app literally from the ground up. Every single page has changed. I mean, it's really amazing. It sounds so minor when I'm like, I did a new design, but really the navigation is different. Everything is different. And it's to give you guys a better user experience because our Joyful Home app has literally hundreds of resources. We have podcasts, we have audiobooks, ebooks, and then video courses galore. And so the amount of information packed in there is truly outstanding, but that comes with the problem of trying to find what you need, trying to log in and be like, I want to learn something. What do I want to learn? So we've really been devising ways to make it a lot easier to you can land on it and be like, okay, I want something in the kitchen. Oh, that course looks good. And we've also designed something called learning paths where you can sign up for a learning path and it's usually about 7 to 10 days. And it's just kind of this guided journey. For example, we have one on studying Proverbs 31 and it kind of takes you through this guided journey through Proverbs 31. And every day there's assignments. So you'll listen to, watch a video and then do a writing prompt, read a passage of scripture. Like there's different things that you're doing each of those days. We only have 2 learning paths right now, but there's going to be a good 10 or so very soon. And then we're going to keep adding to them. So you need to go check it out. If you're a current user, hop in there because everything's I have a few more things that I'm going to be working on this week, like an audiobook page and some things like that. You'll notice a few more changes coming. But for the most part, this whole new design is done and it is amazing. So go check it out. And if you're not a user, now is the perfect time to jump in. If you go to findingjoyinyourhome.com/app, findingjoyinyourhome.com/app. You can go there because right now through the second week of August, we are running like a mega ultra biggest sale ever. So if you do want to sign up, you can get a really, really good price on either a monthly subscription or lowest price of all time on an annual subscription. So go check it out, findingjoyinyourhome.com/app. And I mean, speaking of, today we're doing meal planning. There's a 14-day meal planning bootcamp in there. All 5 of my cookbooks are on the app. Just like if you're looking for kitchen resources, it is truly, 600 plus of my recipes are in there in those cookbooks. Like it is the definitive source for meal planning and anything you need related to in the kitchen. So now's your chance to go look at it. And when you go to findingjoyinyourhome.com/app, you can also check out like a tour, you can kind of tour around the app if you want to go in and click around and see what it is. So you can check that all out. That's my big announcement. Okay, so meal planning. This is more than just meal planning. So I shared in an episode very recently that I am working on some really big things for my personal health. I am really just focused on making changes, and I've seen some really spectacular changes. It is hard when you're wanting to make big health changes and you're not seeing a lot of progress and it can feel discouraging. And that's been the majority of this last year of kind of trying to make little baby steps and maybe seeing a tiny bit of improvement, but not much. And in the last 2 months, I've seen some really major improvements. You can go back and listen to that episode on kind of my health journey right now. One of the big things I'm doing is drinking kefir every single day, a homemade kefir, which sounds like such a small, minor change because it really actually doesn't take very much time at all. It is very minor and small. However, the effects of that have been outstanding. I've had so much more energy. I've been losing weight, which was not my biggest goal. I've been would really like to fit into my pre-baby clothes again, but really just wanting to work on my health and energy and just so many things like that. And I've seen such a big turnaround. And so with having a little bit of success, I am really just feeling this need to want to kind of step into this next season that is more planned, that's more organized, I guess. And so I've really been thinking the last couple of weeks that I really need to start making some shifts in the way, especially with how I'm running my kitchen right now. So I'm a big believer in the fact that as homemakers, anything within our home, cleaning schedules, laundry, especially our kitchen, which is such a huge area, that we're going to have different seasons when it comes to those areas, in particular the kitchen. I have had seasons that like I was all in. When we first moved to Oklahoma, I was canning up a storm. We had our garden. Like I had so many hands-on homemaking things that were just so life-giving in that season and so much fun. And we really were able to just like dive headlong into those. And that was a season where I was just like, what else can I make? That's when I wrote my From Scratch Pantry Basics cookbook, which is like, how do you make everything in your pantry homemade, mayonnaise and ketchup and brownie mix and all of these different things. That was just like, I was all in doing so many things. And I've had other seasons where I was like, oh, this, I've had seasons where I wanted to tackle how to make fresh ground grains, right? Because like every time you learn something new, it's like more of a concerted effort. I can grind my own grains now and I don't even have to think about it. It's easy. I just do it. When you're first learning something though, it takes a lot more effort, a lot more determination. You have to learn it. You just have to think through everything more. So it's taking a lot more brain space. So I've had those seasons in the last 15 years, spread out throughout the time, where I've learned something new, where I've taken on something new, where I've had more capacity for the kitchen. I've also had plenty of seasons where I've had a lot less capacity. And I would say this last year was definitely a year of less capacity, of just really kind of trying to cut corners in the kitchen, and just in a way going through pretty much a season of, I would say, like survival mode when it comes to the kitchen, of just kind of the bare minimum. What do we need to get done? Not really adding on a lot of extra things. And, it kind of started with last summer. We moved into our RV and we were in Texas for most of the summer. It's like 106 every day. We really struggled getting the RV to cool down below like 90 inside. And so it was really just like, I was not doing a lot of cooking. I was using my crock pot a ton though. I really was. I this summer, I'm like, I need to get my crock pot out more. That's actually one of the things we'll talk about. And anyway, so just really kind of like a tough season. And then also transitioning back into life in an RV. You can do so much more in a small kitchen than you think you can, but it definitely is like, you have to reorient yourself again to a small kitchen, small space, a small refrigerator that you have to fill more often. And you just really have to kind of get used to that. So then, of course, we moved in July 1st. We had baby number 8 in August, mid-August. And so, which is funny because thinking back, those 6 weeks seemed like 6 months that we were in the RV before baby was born, but it was really quick. Then throughout the next several months, ended up moving to North Carolina, and then we've had our whole with Mr. Little Radley getting burned, being in the hospital for 8 days, the recovery from that. He's now facing more surgeries. It's just there's been a lot in this last year. And so it's definitely been like hills and valleys, and just my focus being in a lot of different places other than how do I make my kitchen rock and roll. But the thing is, even in tough seasons, in really busy seasons, when we neglect the kitchen, it's a really big pain point for our house because we need to eat. We need to eat 3 meals a day. We are on a very strict budget. I can't just be like, oh, we're busy right now, I'm going to go buy all pre-made stuff from Whole Foods. Like, that would be great. We're not in a position that we could do that. My grocery budget's tight. I need to stick with that. I need to be a good steward of the resources God has given us. And I want to feed my family well. And so when you go through those seasons, there's times where, when we're in the hospital, all rules go out the window and it's like, pick up Chick-fil-A and, praise God for those things. Praise God for people bringing us meals and things like that. So in those real survival mode seasons, you just, you do what you got to do and you trust God with that 100%. So that's kind of been our feeling for this last year. Now this summer, I'm starting to feel a shift. Radley is going to be 1 year old. He's not a little baby anymore. I am starting to feel like I have a lot more capacity. He is sleeping through the night for the most part. I am starting to feel more like myself, especially with some of this health stuff that I've been personally working on. And I've just started feeling this shift of, I got to get serious about the kitchen again. I have health goals that I want for the whole family. And I want to step back into that season of really having a robust kitchen again. However, with these feelings also come the fact that we are very, very busy right now. We have a very busy season with our business. And of course, recording this beginning of August, we're going to be starting school up again. We're actually not starting until the first week of September. So I do have a little bit of leeway. I know a lot of people are starting back up school this week or next week. We decided we've gone kind of back and forth on our school start times, but we're starting after September 1st. And that does give me a little bit of breathing room. But of course, jumping back into school, I will have 6 kids now that are in full-time school with 2 littles running around, and that does take a lot of time. So I'm kind of using August as this transition of like, let me work back into really solid meal planning so that when the even busier schedule comes, we are kind of rocking and rolling in that. So I kind of wanted to share that. I think sometimes when we see on social media, we see, oh, Jamie shared a recipe or somebody shared a recipe of spelt pancakes and they freshly ground them. And you can get this idea that like everybody else has their kitchens so perfect. And like, maybe that was the only like recipe I cooked that week. You know, we don't talk a lot about what do you do when you're in those survival mode seasons. What do you do when you can't physically be in the kitchen as much? And what do we do when we're trying to transition back into better habits? So that's why I kind of wanted to share, because I would find this encouraging to hear from someone else that a lot of us struggle with our kitchens, even when, like, I have a lot of kitchen know-how now, which I didn't used to. I have a lot of kitchen know-how. I know how to do a lot of things, but we have to still translate that to actually making it happen in your kitchen. And there's different seasons for different things. I don't do all the things. I don't make everything from scratch all the time. I tend to make very simple meals. And that's one thing that I'm needing to work on in August, is kind of transitioning into more simple snacks and things that we can have, which we'll talk about. Okay. I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's start. I have 5 things that I'm working on in the month of August to get me back on track with meal planning, to be making sure that I'm staying faithful to our grocery budget. And then I'm also honoring the good gifts that God has given me with my 8 children, my wonderful husband. How can I help be faithful in serving them with good, nutritious food so that we have the energy to serve the Lord, so that we have the energy to tackle our days? That's a really big motivator for me when I think about a healthy kitchen. It's not in this like legalistic, like no sugar shall pass our lips. It's so that, and I'm not dogmatic in that way. I want to look at my kitchen with grace and know that we are called to be good stewards, and yet God is in control. We're always stuck kind of in that dichotomy. And so, okay, now I'm going off on tangents again. This is why my episodes are always so long. Okay. Here are the 5 things that I'm working on in August. Okay. Number 1 is I'm easing my way back into this. I have made the mistake in the past, and this was especially when I really didn't have a lot of knowledge in the kitchen, when I really was like, I don't even know how to put together meal plans, or I don't know how to cook from scratch. I would get a bee in my bonnet that like I wanted to, make healthier meals for my family and save money. And so I would jump in to these like ridiculous meal plans. I'd jump into like some crazy Whole30 meal plan and be like, I'm just going to do it. And then real life would take over and I'd last 3 days. And then I had all this stuff in the fridge that I wasn't doing anything with and not making the meals. And then we still didn't have dinner. And so I know right now I could pick up my cookbooks and I could jump into recipes even that I know very well, but I need to ease my way in. It's just the reality of what this month is for us, how busy we are, the project deadlines we have, and wanting to enjoy the rest of summer. Jason right now is down at the pond, taking the kids down to swim, because the last few weeks we've just been so busy. We haven't been taking advantage of going swimming before it's too cold. And so we're really wanting to kind of make sure we've got our priorities right in August. And so for me, part of that means making sure that I'm getting myself scheduled enough. So I'm going to be easing my way back into meal planning. I'm not going to be devising some crazy huge meal plan for this week that's going to take 40 hours. No, I'm going to ease my way in this week with a few things. The next week, add a few more things, so on and so forth, so that by the time we get to September, hopefully I'm kind of really rocking and rolling again. Now, I'm doing a lot of this because I have some really established systems in my kitchen. I have recipes established that I know how to make like the back of my hand. I've got my grain mill. I know how to do these simple things. I know how to meal plan. I can pull my own recipes that are our family's favorites. Like, this has become a well-oiled machine, even though it still definitely does take effort for me. But 15 years ago, that wouldn't have been the case. I would have struggled a lot more because I didn't know how to cook. I didn't know, I did not have any of these kitchen skills. So I really want to encourage you, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, well, Jamie, I need better meal plans and I don't know how to do any of that stuff. You absolutely can learn, and it's learning one small thing at a time. So this next month, plan to just do some crockpot dinners. Pull some recipes offline. I have a crockpot cookbook if you want to sign up for the app. But like find some crockpot recipes, and you're going to make some crockpot recipes this next month while you learn X, Y, or Z, while you learn how to grind your own grains. I think that's an amazing companion to everybody's kitchen. While you learn how to make granola bars from scratch and muffins, or whatever it is that you're thinking, I really want to learn how to make bread or how to do this. You absolutely can learn, but don't try to take on 45 new projects at once. You're going to learn like one new thing. Pick one thing for the next month. And the thing is, if you do that consistently over the next year, over the next 2 years, over the next 15 years, all of a sudden you went from someone who got married at 19, 16 years ago, not knowing how to boil pasta, true story, just someone now who, I'm not like a gourmet chef or anything, but any stretch of the imagination, but I know how to run a kitchen. Like, are you kidding? That's amazing. 16 years ago, I would have been like, I will one day know how to bake bread and grind grains. Like, that seems crazy, but it's small, consistent learning new things. And I'm still always learning new things. Kefir, homemade kefir. I've made it in the past, but never like super consistently like I am now, and really experimenting, and like kefir is like my favorite thing now. And so like, there's just always things that you're learning. So wherever you're at with meal planning, take it slow, ease into it, decide that this next week, you're just going to plan out dinners, or you're going to get some breakfast prepped ahead, or what have you. What is kind of like your biggest pain point? And that leads me to point number 2, which is start with the most impactful. So right now, when you're thinking about your kitchen, maybe you're doing pretty good right now. You've got your kind of basic meal planning on rotation. You make the same thing every Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, pizzas on Friday, whatever it is. Like, you're doing pretty good. You're feeling good. Maybe you're at the point where you're ready to add in something like homemade bread or homemade kefir. Like, you're like, I want to take it to the next level. I want to learn how to make X, Y, or Z. Or you're at the place where I'm at right now of being like, my kitchen's just completely crazy. We're walking out of survival mode, and I want to just like establish some like good basic meal planning. What is going to be the most impactful thing? Where are you struggling the most with your meal planning? Is it breakfast? Are you constantly like, we have nothing to eat for breakfast, especially now for those of us who have kids as we're transitioning back into school, whether you homeschool or your kids have to get out the door to get to school. Breakfast is a lot of times a big one where you're like, I need breakfast prepped ahead of time. We homeschool and work from home, so we don't have a lot of like 8 a.m. or 6 a.m. like get out of the house. However, I'm not a super big morning person, and I would vastly prefer to have breakfast like completely prepped ahead and ready to go. And so I'm always looking for breakfast that I can prep ahead. I love that. And then you can also have those for lunch. You can have those for dinner. It's really nice to have some breakfast items just like ready to go. But it might be for you, maybe it's dinner. You're just like, I'm not getting dinner on the table, or dinner's not getting on the table till like 7 or 8 p.m., which in the summer, again, maybe is fine, but we're transitioning back to school schedules. Jason and I have had a lot of conversations this week of, like I said, using August as a transition month, not only for myself with like my food goals, but also just like we've been staying up super late. We've been getting up later. We've been on summer schedule, and we are going to be working this month on starting to slowly like back that up. The kids have been like staying up way later, and then they're like talking in bed way later. Like, no one's like going to bed and falling asleep. Like, it's just, everything's dragged out. The mornings are dragged out, which again is fine. It's been our summer schedule. But in August, we're going to slowly work on backing that up so that September, first week of September, it's not a shock to all of us. We're hopefully having made some progress. So is it dinners that you need to be working on? Like you need to back up your dinner time, or you're looking at like, hey, soccer's going to be starting. Soccer's in the fall, right? I think so. Soccer's starting soon. Like I need to figure out like dinners on the go. Like if I could start to figure that out right now so that, I mean, maybe soccer's starting this month already. But you know, we need to figure out snacks on the go. Like what is that thing that's most impactful for you? So right now, my two things that I'm really working on are easy dinners. I've been kind of loosey-goosey at the point where I'm like, it's 3 p.m. and I'm like, oh yeah, what am I going to make today? And with our busy schedule right now, I just need to tighten that up a little better. I need to be back to like, the way I plan is I don't plan on Monday we're eating this, Tuesday we're eating this. I might have a general idea, but basically I just will plan, 4 to 5 meals for the week. And then I'll make double batches of them. So we have leftovers for lunch, leftovers for Saturday night, Sunday. And then I will just like make sure I've got the ingredients on hand. And then in the morning that day, I'll kind of figure out what makes sense, what sounds good to make. But I've got the ingredients on hand so that I can make them. So I just need to get back to, it's very easy. I just got to get that pre-planning done. So I know what recipes we're having this week. I've got the ingredients on hand. Some of our kids are going to be, I didn't put this in here. This is a point, is that in the last couple of years, I've been teaching the kids how to cook more and more. And so we're going to start doing where a couple times a week, one of the kids or two of the kids together are going to take over making dinner. So one of my kids bakes for spaghetti all the time. All the time. And he has made my like homemade spaghetti sauce with me, which is not very difficult to make at all, but takes a little while to, let it simmer and all that. So he's made it with me once or twice. So he's going to start making that. And he would eat this spaghetti every single day. So probably once a week, maybe once every other week, he's probably going to start taking over and making that spaghetti for us. Another son, this isn't for breakfast, but he loves making egg bake. And both of these recipes are in my cookbooks. Egg bake is just like his dream. He loves it. And so he asked me just the other day when I was making my grocery list, Mom, can I make egg bake? And I'm like, yes, I'm going to add mushrooms and tomatoes to my grocery list. You can make the egg bake. And so really kind of enabling the kids to make things that they're excited about is just really helpful. Like I didn't have egg bake on my list for this week, but if he is excited and wants to make it, absolutely, that's fantastic. He can take over that and kind of take something off my list. So if you've got kids that are 8 to 9 years old and above, absolutely the time you can really start handing them. Like my 8-year-old daughter, she can make muffins. She can make egg bake. She makes eggs. She makes like coffee cake, anything like any of these like quick breads and stuff. She is just awesome. She takes my cookbook. Cookbook Volume 1 has so many great recipes. And so that are super easy, simple ones. Like the whole cookbook is meant to just be like super simple, accessible recipes. So she all the time will be like, Mom, can I bake something? And I'm like, sure. Go grab my cookbook and find something. So she kind of knows her favorites and she can cook them entirely herself. And then the older kids obviously can too. And then younger than 8, 5, 6, 7, they can absolutely be working alongside you. And you'd be surprised by 8, 9 years old how much they can cook and how much they can do. So really getting kind of your kids involved. The kids also are going to be doing more like just like muffin recipes, like easy snacks that I want to be better. Is that one of my things? Yeah. Okay. So my next point, number 3, is with wanting to get easier dinners and snacks. This is one way that we keep our grocery budget really, really down. And that is by making snacks at home. So, and we're not like, okay, it can be really fun to make, on Instagram, you see like the really fun recipes for making like homemade goldfish and like really fun, like cute things like that, which can be really fun. But we're making really simple things. Like I need simple things that are going to like pack a powerful punch. So for example, one thing we do a lot is we make muffins. I had never, before I started grinding grains, I don't know that I barely had ever made muffins because they just seemed like kind of a boring like dessert. And so I'm not going to like spend all my time making muffins. But when we started grinding grains, I realized that muffins are like the key to my success. So with a muffin is a quick bread. So what that means is you dump all the ingredients in a bowl and you mix it up and you bake them. Like it takes less than 10 minutes of work. And when you're grinding your own grains, you can totally make them with white flour. You also, if you don't grind grains, you can look into like getting almond flour. It can get really expensive though. Or you can buy, especially from Azure, you can buy really good like spelt flour. You can buy good quality flours. But when you're making like with that whole grain, these become like a protein powerhouse. They're packed with amino acids. Like they're packed with so many nutrients. It's incredible. And it's baked into this great, moist, amazing little muffin. So we make muffins all the time. And we just alternate. We do chocolate chip muffins. We do pumpkin muffins, lemon poppy seed, blueberry. We just kind of have a litany of different ones that we kind of cycle through. Each kid kind of has their favorite. So if I say, hey, Ryder, could you make some muffins today? He'll pick like his favorite to make. And I mean, sometimes once we're making a recipe too, someone else will be like, oh, I don't like those ones. Can I make pumpkin ones later? And I'm like, sure. Go for it. So we always make 2 dozen at once. 1 dozen always gets eaten immediately as soon as it's out of the oven. So a lot of times I will plan that for like their lunch as part of their lunch or like an afternoon snack. And then the other dozen gets saved for later in the week. And so muffins are just fantastic because they're so nutrient dense and they're just delightful. Like everybody's happy to have a muffin. And so really working on just getting back to making more muffins. They're so easy to make. And it's great to be able to just be like, oh, I'm hungry. Okay, great. Go grab a muffin out of the fridge. So muffins, we're making a big batch of crock-pot granola every single week. Takes like 10 seconds. So easy. Like you literally just dump it in the crock pot and turn it on. And you have the most amazing granola. And yes, it's crunchy. It's so good. I will never make granola another way. We make 2 gallons of yogurt a week. I make it in the Instant Pot. Again, you guys, this is stuff that's like, how long does it make me take yogurt? Okay, so yogurt does take a little longer because you have to like let it get up to 180 degrees and then cool it back down. And then you mix in the starter. But my actual like hands-on time of making yogurt is like 3 minutes, literally. So if I know I'm going to be in the kitchen doing something, then I just dump my milk in. I do a gallon at a time, and then just turn the Instant Pot on and let it get up to 180 degrees. So I do check it every once in a while, the temperature, but it's so easy. And then we have the most probiotic, delicious, homemade full-fat yogurt is the most delicious thing on the planet. And it is so much healthier than store-bought. And you can make it out of just literally a gallon of milk. So a gallon of milk at our store right now is like $3.19. So you can make an entire gallon of probiotic, incredible yogurt for $3. Like, are you kidding me? And it's so easy. And the kids all think it's like a special, incredible, amazing treat because they love our yogurt so much. So then we can make, yogurt bowls where we just put in like, we'll put some raw honey in and we'll put berries, sprinkle some chia seeds on top. We will also do granola bowls where we'll put yogurt in the bottom and that granola on top. And like the kids just think it's the greatest thing ever. And it's really, really easy. So granola, yogurt, muffins, just getting those into rotation means I always have something to eat. So like if we do like, say Jason's working late and it's, just one of those nights, I'm like, hey, let's have like granola bowls with yogurt. And the kids are like, yay. And it's so nutritious. Like it's just having those things on hand really helps me on those days where things are a little bit crazy or we're busy and we don't get back until really late. And like, we just have stuff we can pull out of the fridge. Then my next thing, number 4, that I'm going to be working on in August is going to be a lot more crock-pot dinners. I think a lot of times we think of crock-pot as a winter thing, which it can be. I think the crock-pot, spoiler alert, the crock-pot is good for all year round. But we exclusively think about it as a winter thing. But I actually use my crock-pot more in the summer because it's hot and we don't want to heat up the house. And, you're out late, you're busy, you're doing things, you're more active. And so I use my crock-pot heavily during the summer normally. But in this last month, like July, I only used it a couple of times and it probably was for crock-pot granola most of the times that I got it out. And I was like, it's funny how you just get out of the habit of things. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm kind of struggling. I need to get better at dinner. And I'm like, duh, why am I not utilizing the crock pot better? So most of my dinners probably in August are going to be crock pot dinners. And what I love also about this is I can do them first thing in the morning. I can or midway through the day, depending on the recipe. Everything's cleaned up so that like dinner time's a lot easier too. And dinner time lately with the baby and just with everyone, and Jason has been working late a lot, then dinner time, can be that witching hour where it's just like that dinner time to bedtime is tough. So if dinner's in the crock pot, the kitchen's already completely clean, it can be just such a great transition into your evening. So for me, that's one thing I will be focusing on to make my life a little bit easier is crock pot dinners throughout August. And then lastly, the last thing I'm working on is I am going to be ramping my way up to more cultured and fermented foods. I talked about this a lot in my health journey episode, so I won't go over it all. But I am working on right now, my immediate goal is 3 fermented foods a day. My long-term goal is like 5 fermented foods a day on average. I'm not going to be dogmatic about this, but I'm really working on not only for myself, but also building that up for the entire family. I just think real probiotic foods are absolutely life-changing. And it is something that in the West, we do not eat cultured and fermented foods ever, like hardly ever, unless you're buying yogurt and the yogurt is actual real probiotic yogurt. However, we do know that because they've been sitting for so long, by the time your yogurt or your kefir gets to your table, it just does not contain a lot of the probiotics that it even originally did at the factory because it's been sitting so long. And so other than that, like we don't eat anything that's fermented, and traditional cultures around the world and throughout all of time eat 3 to 5 fermented or cultured foods daily. So we're talking like real sauerkraut. We're talking real pickles, probiotic, real fermented pickles, kombucha, water kefir, hot sauces that are actually fermented. I mean, like the list goes on and on and on. And so right now, my immediate goal is I'm building up my kefir to have 2 cups of kefir a day for every member of the family. So I think I'm going to be brewing about a gallon. I was up to about half a gallon, and then we went camping and I was having trouble with my grains. And so right now I'm doing a quart to make sure that they're really happy. And then I'm going to kind of work my way up again. So I am doing 2 cups a day. Jason's doing 2 cups when I have the extra, which I have been, but I'm working on it. And then everybody's going to have 2 cups a day. I think kefir is the best. Like if you are like, I want one probiotic thing to give into my day, kefir is unequivocally has the most strains, the most probiotics. It is like the one and done. Do it. Milk kefir, not water kefir. Water kefir is actually an entirely different like species. So milk kefir. So we're doing milk kefir, and we've got that, like, I've really been working on that. So again, baby steps on all this. You're going to hear me. If you've never done any cultured and fermented foods, you're going to be like, that's so much. Well, it's also because I've been working on it for years now. So kefir is second hand now, whatever you call it. I don't have to give it a thought, whatever the phrase is. I don't have to even give a kefir a thought because I just get up in the morning, I pour it out. I did it takes me a minute and I'm done. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to like look at a list and be like, what do I do? Like, no, it's down. I don't have to think about it. So that one is down and done. The second one that's down and done is kombucha. So we have been brewing kombucha pretty heavily for several years now. We make 2 gallons every 7 to 10 days or so. We make 2 gallons. But after we had Radley, we'd made 2 gallons. And then we let it sit through having Radley, and then we bottled that up, and then we just kind of left our SCOBY sit for a while, and I kept going, we're going to come back to it. Well, it took us almost a year. We've been doing it for a couple months, I guess, back now. But finally, the kids kept saying, when are we doing kombucha again? So we finally got our kombucha. We actually threw out the one that we had, the SCOBY. We took so long, and it did have some mold on it. We let it get too dry because I was surviving. So we bought a new SCOBY, and we did get that started, I want to say probably in May. But it can take a little while to kind of really like build up the amount you're making. So we're finally back up to 2 gallons every 7 to 10 days. So we do have 2 gallons going right now, which sounds like a lot, but with a family of, 10? With a family of 10, it just it doesn't last that long because the kids want to drink it every single day. And they, just have 4 ounces or so. They're not like having a ton. But we are back to doing that. And so my goal is I go through seasons of not drinking the kombucha very much. Our kids like it pretty sour. And so I just go through seasons of not drinking it that often, and the kids are always drinking it and they want it. And so I am going to be going back to drinking 4 ounces a day, of just making sure that I'm getting 4 ounces, because the kombucha has different probiotic strains than kefir, and some of them are overlapping, but it's just it's a really terrific source. Kombucha is good for so many things. And so we brew that already. This is not something I'm adding on. I'm just adding to my to-do list that I want to have like 2 to 4 ounces every day. So I'm going to be working on that. So there we go. We've got 2 probiotic sources. What we're going to be working on next is finally going back to doing some fermented vegetables. And we haven't done this for a long time. Probably in 2022, we were doing a lot of this. So my favorite thing, like I love pickles. Love pickles. Absolutely love them. And real probiotic pickles are incredibly easy to make. So that's going to be our first thing in the next couple of weeks, is just getting myself organized enough to make sure we've got the jars and the pickling spices and everything. And then making probably like 4 quarts of pickles at first. And then from there, working on some different fermented veggies. So Jason has asked me to do some hot sauces. He's got a couple hot sauces. Like he's got a list of 3 of them for me that he'd like me to make. I'm not a big hot sauce person, so that won't really count for me, but it'll be good sources for him and for a couple of the kids who like spices. And then I'm just going to, from there, kind of just be working on adding a few more things so that I've got a little bit of sauerkraut I can add, so that I can just, even a tablespoon of fermented veggies are so incredibly good for you. So really, I'm going to be experimenting with, I don't know how much I love sauerkraut, but there's different flavors that you can make. And I've only ever really just made like standard sauerkraut. So I'm going to be really experimenting with some different flavors, because you can make some really fun ones. And so I'm going to experiment with the ones that I really like and that the family really likes. So that's kind of my next goal. That's going to be what I'm going to be kind of working on in the fall as I get better routines down, as I'm actually like making sure dinner is consistent every night, is that I'm kind of working into some of these other cultured and fermented food things, because you want a snack at 3 o'clock? Are you kidding? Homemade fermented pickles are so amazing for you. And thankfully, all of my kids like pickles. A couple of them did not used to, but I love pickles. So we just buy them all the time. And I think everyone now, all of the kids would say they like pickles. So that's also an encouragement, is if you first start, if you've got kefir or kombucha or certain things that like your kids don't like, don't give up. Keep going, because tastes absolutely change over time. Tastes mature the more that they come in contact with them. Not that every person likes pickles. That's fine. But taste can absolutely change and mature as you introduce more and more things. Okay, I'm going to be done, because I once again promised Jason this would not be a ridiculously long episode, but I get excited talking about meal planning. So I would love to hear from you guys. This is just the random things that I am going to be working on. And so I'd love to hear from you. What are the things that you're wanting to work on in August? And where are you stumped? And then what's been working well for you? Like, let's celebrate that also. A lot of times we tend to just focus on all the bad things we're doing, all the wrong things, how I can't get this down. But maybe you have got lunches going really well, or you have figured out a breakfast that everybody loves. Like, what is the win? Think about what are some of the wins that you have. For me, it's that I've like really got the kefir down, and I've been making that consistently. Like, it is just a habit now for me, and I'm really proud of that. I'm really excited for that. So what are some things that you can be proud of, and what are some things that you're wanting to work on? I would love to hear from you in that. All right, ladies. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget also that we have our mega incredible Joyful Home 2.0 sale going on right now. Go to findingjoyinyourhome.com/app, and you can go check out that mega sale we've got going through the second week of August. And if you are wanting to work on meal planning and you're thinking, Jamie, all these things you're talking about making sound so good, we have a freshly milled course. We have I teach you how to make yogurt. We've got 14-day meal planning boot camp. And we have so many things. In fact, we're adding a course next week that's how to make sourdough from freshly ground grains. And we actually have some meal prep courses coming up like in the next couple of weeks. So there are some really spectacular, incredible resources coming. We've got freezer cooking coming, meal prep, some really, really great things. That all have to do with the kitchen. So come on over. Oh, learn how to brew kombucha. We've got a course and a book for you in there. So many things. So this, like, we really try to make the app your one-stop shop for like any online course that you're ever going to need. Audiobooks for you, audiobooks for your kids. My Christian's Guide to Natural Living audiobook and ebook is in there. My hormones and my seasons and cycles book, which is on women's hormones, is in there. And everything else, plus audiobooks for your kids. Everything is safe. There's no ads. There's nothing that's going to pop up like on YouTube. It is an incredible resource for families. You got to go check it out. findingjoyinyourhome.com/app. All right, ladies. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will see you guys back here next week for the next episode.